pretty simple for the Green Bay Packers. They need a healthy Brett Favre. Right now, he's suffering from tendonitis in his throwing elbow. Although it's not considered serious, as a precaution, Favre will not play this afternoon. The Packers missed the playoffs last year, as did Denver, because that guy, Terrell Davis, suffered a knee injury in the fourth game, missed the rest of the season. Yep, Terrell Davis is back now. Plenty of questions to be answered between now and January. And we'll get a chance to see how these teams are progressing this afternoon as the Green Bay Packers get set to take on the Denver Broncos from Mile High. We welcome you to the Fox Network Center here in Studio 2A. And good afternoon, everyone. I'm James Brown. And pleased to say our starters go the full 4 quarters as we welcome you to the beginning of our 7th year of presenting the NFL on Fox. Joining me, of course, as always, Terry Bradshaw, Howie Long, Chris Collinsworth. Howie is going to be on FX tonight, primetime, Firestorm, not Brainstorm.
Firestorm.
Firestorm.
They're playing that?
Can you believe that? No subtitles.
Premiere.
We can't just call him Big Boy anymore.
Oh.
Hall of Famer Big Boy. Congratulations,
yeah,
Howard. Absolutely.
I'll tell you, I had very high expectations for the weekend in Camden, and it surpassed every one of them. And you'd think after 7 years in television, I'd get the speech right, but...
it was great. And you mentioned everybody that... It was unbelievable. Everybody that meant anything to you. I was moved.
When talking about the great history of the Raiders, I forgot to mention Tom Flores, my first...
No, you didn't. Head coach?
2 world championships there with the Raiders, and as fine a guy as I've ever been associated with in football. And sorry, Tom, and thanks for everything.
All right. Pressure was immense indeed. Hey,
I did not forget this.
well, another world champion in your family, I understand.
Boy, all you parents out there know how wonderful it is to watch your children perform or compete. And this is my daughter on the right, Erin, showing her age gelding Gem of Array trained by Ted Turner. And yesterday in the American Quarter Horse Youth World Championship, believe it or not, she won. She is a world champion with that age gelding. And, boy, am I proud. What a proud moment
She's a great
for me.
gal. She looked pretty as a...
Cute as a butt.
That horse looked kind of angry to be a gelding.
Well, you would be well.
Hey, Chris, we know you had a wonderful summer. Part of it's been playing golf with me, but
you were great.
Talk a little football.
Yeah, you don't want to hear about that either, do you? Right now, the Green Bay Packers are trying to get back to what they've done a couple of years in the past. Here's a football team that last year tried to take the ball, throw it down the field, make the big plays. They found out that's not what they do the best. They go back to the West Coast offense now, the quick throws, let the wide receivers make the plays. Antonio Freeman very excited about what's going to happen this year.
You know, you talk about Brett Favre's not going to play today. He has tendonitis in his right elbow. Brett turns 31 in October. And I think what Brett needs to realize today is this. The older you get, the harder you work out. Doesn't put in a lot of work in the offseason, so I'm not surprised that he's having elbow problem, which is a hard thing to get rid of. And in Denver, Brian Griese starting. I think he'll do a great job this year, primarily because he's going to have Terrell Davis.
Yeah, that's a big reason. You know, in talking to his dad back in Canton, he mentioned that, in fact, he knows the offense well now. He's not thinking, he's just reacting. And I think one of the reasons why he will have a big year is Terrell Davis. Terrell Davis passed a big test last week, had an outstanding game for him. Not big numbers, but he took the hits, and he feels fine. He is an impact player. He not only impacts that position, he impacts the quarterback position, the receivers who are thin right now at receiver, and they might be signing Brooks, the defense and the defensive line especially, because you're playing with a lead, takes a lot of pressure off the quarterback. Shanahan did as outstanding a job of coaching as I saw in the league last year with the problems he had.
Yeah, when you get up for the... Have you been nominated for the Hall of Fame yet, Chris?
I was, yes.
And...
Robert Brooks will swing too, Chris. Go ahead.
You want to mention any other people you may have forgotten along the way? Did you got them all except that one?
No, I'm all right.
I've never seen you so blushy.
Well,
blushy right now.
You know, how do you forget Tom Flores?
I think we're going to hear a few catches. I know. Folks, if it's our first game, you know who will be calling the action. Our Hall of Famers, Pat Summerall and John Madden, who are beginning their 20th year of broadcasting together. Pat and John, good to hear you and see you again.
Well, thank you, JB, as you watch the Broncos being introduced at Mile High Stadium. The last year at Mile High for the Broncos as they entertain the Green Bay Packers, 2 of the marquee teams in the NFL just a couple of years ago. Hey, John, it doesn't seem like 20 years together, does it?
I'll tell you, it's been 20 great and 20 special years, and I can't wait for this one.
It really has been special. John, these two marquee teams, as I mentioned before, but coming off disappointing years. This is the second preseason game. What do the coaches expect to get out of this one?
Well, you know, it was interesting talking to Mike Shanahan the other day. He says, we want to play well because we want to get our confidence. And you think, Mike Shanahan, the Denver Broncos, 2 Super Bowls in a row, how can they be worried about confidence? And then you look and you say, hey, they were just 6-10 last year, and you could tell in training camp that that's really their motivator. Then the Green Bay Packers, they have a new head coach in Mike Sherman. So when you bring in a new head coach, you're going to bring in a new system, a new way of doing things, offense, defense, special teams, meeting, and all those things. And you want to prove that they work. You want to prove that they're right, and the way you prove that is by playing well.
Well, you mentioned the Packers have a new head coach. At the end of last year, they were not just a disappointing team. They were a team in disarray. What else have they done?
Well, you know, the big thing, the Packers are just going to be as good as Brett Favre. And as we heard in the pregame show, Brett's not going to play today. And we were watching him in the pregame warm-up. And you can see here, he just had no velocity on his throw at all. He didn't practice on Friday or Saturday there. He talks to the trainer. You can see he's pointing right to the area. That's where the tendonitis is in that right elbow. Then you can see he goes over and talks to the head coach, Mike Sherman. And right here, I think that's the answer, that Brett Favre will not play. And in his stead, we're going to see Matt Hasselbeck, who is pretty good in his own right. And, you know, in the preseason, Matt Hasselbeck has been a great preseason quarterback, and he's one of the better backups in all of football.
Now, when you talk about Denver, last year they were saying we've got to get over the loss of John Elway. Greasy was the quarterback after a quarterback controversy at the beginning. What about the Broncos? What's your opinion of them?
I think, first of all, Terrell Davis. That's a big thing. Getting him back. He played a little last week. And talking to the Broncos and Mike Shanahan, what he'd like to do is get him 10 or 11 touches today in maybe 15 plays. So he wants him to get in there, get out. Terrell Davis was telling us, he said, what I didn't do last week is when I started to get tackled, I didn't run through it. I just kind of stopped. I don't want to do that. But I think, you know, as we said, that the Packers are going to go as far as Brett Favre will take them, and Brian Greasy is a big part of this. And you can just tell, just by watching him in practice, talking to him and everything he does, he has a lot more confidence, and he's going to need that confidence throughout, and he has to keep improving.
It'll be interesting to see what happens between these two. Just a couple of years ago, they were in the Super Bowl. We're at Mile High Stadium in Denver, and it should be a good afternoon of football.
Welcome back to Mile High Stadium. We're here for the Packers and the Broncos. Moments ago, you heard Pat and John talk about Brian Greasy and his progress from last year. Well, I spoke to Brian a few minutes ago, and he himself agrees. He says that now when he steps up to the line, he has a lot more confidence. He knows this is his offense. This is his team. And in order for the team to be successful, he must play well. Now, the preseason is very important to Brian Greasy. As you recall, last year, as they entered training camp, Bubby Brister was the starter. By the time training camp ended, Brian Greasy had assumed that role. Now let's go back up to Pat and John for the kickoff.
All right, DJ, thank you very much. Jason Elam has a groin problem, so Frank Biancanamo will kick off. And back deep for Green Bay, Basil Mitchell, and Armand Green.
And if you're going to be trying out as a kicker in this league, this is a great place to kick off at Mile High Stadium.
It really is. Mitchell at the 1. To the 25, and let's have a look at the revamped Green Bay offensive line. 2 new tackles. Ross Verba has been moved inside to guard. The veteran Frank Winters is the center. Marco Rivera, the other guard. Bill Schrader, Dorsey Levens, William Henderson, Tyrone Davis, and Antonio Freeman. Missing, as we told you, is Brett Favre. Matt Hasselbeck is the quarterback. And look at that quarterback rating. That's in preseason, however.
Oh, yeah, he's all pro preseason.
Yeah. As Levens in motion, Hasselbeck rolls for about 8, and let's check out the Denver defense. Up front, the front 4, Kavika Pittman, they got from Dallas. Trevor Price, held out, just reported not too long ago to camp. Trailer, and Tanuvasa. The linebackers, Nate Wayne, Al Wilson, and Romanowski. And in the secondary, Jimmy Spencer and Ray Crockett. The corners, safeties, Eric Brown and Billy Jenkins.
If the Broncos have one glaring weakness, it's that last area you were talking about, the secondary.
3 wide receivers. Freeman was the man in motion. This is Levin. Close to a first.
You know, Dorsey Levens didn't play last week. He has tendonitis, and I think that in his knee, and I think that's one of those things that once you get that, that's going to bother you probably forever. So I think a big pickup for the Green Bay Packers was getting Ahman Green as a running back from the Seattle Seahawks. We're going to see him later, but he is a very, very impressive runner.
Levin split wide to the left. Hasselbeck outside, complete. Antonio Freeman. They did get enough on the previous play for a first down, so this will make about 2nd and 5.
You know, Tom Rosley is the offensive coordinator of the Green Bay Packers, and he was saying when he first came here and they started minicamps, he said Hasselbeck didn't look good at all. And he said, there's something wrong with this guy. He said he doesn't have much concentration. And then he heard that he got married. And he said that took him off his program a little. And once he got back in the program and got into training camp, he looked like the old Matt Hasselbeck.
That's Freeman in motion again, and this is Levin behind the fullback Henderson, and he gets enough for a first, close to midfield.
You know, the big thing is he had Ross Verba out there. Now, that's pretty nice. Here's Ross Verba. He's the guard. He's going to pull. Now, anytime you get the ball and you can get right behind a big 310-pounder, that's the way to go. Now, watch as he starts out here. You'll see Verba pulling. See him right there? Now, watch. Now, you just get right in his hip pocket. And as he makes contact there, boom, you just break right off it. That's a good feeling, I think, as a running back when you have big old Verba out in front of you.
Well, you wonder if he's fast enough and quick enough to do that. Hasselbeck is down by Romanowski. Blitzing off the corner.
That was one thing that Greg Robinson told us that he was going to do more of. Just a second preseason game, but as he said, blitzing is part of our defense, so we got to practice it in this game. Romanowski just comes from the left side. You just see him right here. He just comes and no one blocks him. I mean, he's right there. They don't even touch him, and that's a tough one to leave for the quarterback.
Yeah.
If you're going to leave one for the quarterback, you hope that it's an outside guy, but a smaller guy than Phil Romanowski.
Ahman Green on the draw play. He's got a lot of speed and good feet, as they say.
Somewhere he has the thing that he's a fumbler, and that was supposedly the reason that Mike Holmgren traded him from Seattle, is because he thought he was a fumbler. But as Mike Sherman was telling us last night, the thing that didn't make sense is at Seattle, he was also the short yardage and goal line guy. You know, Ricky Waters didn't do the job up there in that area, they felt. So if he's your short yardage and goal line guy, you don't want a fumbler in that position.
3rd 11. Hasselbeck. Should be a first to Freeman.
Freeman made a good move out there on Ray Crockett. Ray Crockett, the guy that you know should know the area, he slipped. You're going to see Hasselbeck comes out. Now watch. Here's Ray Crockett right here, and he's man to man. See, he starts to move, and then as Freeman starts to come back right there, you see Crockett kept going, slipped a little, and that gave Antonio Freeman a 5-yard cushion.
Antonio might have helped that slip a little.
Well, it was a little push and then a little slip, and that equals 5-yard cushion.
2 tight ends now. Bubba Franks, one of them. The #1 choice. Levin got a yard.
Great job by Bill Romanowski. I mean, that's one thing. Denver likes quick guys, and Romanowski's not one of the quick guys. But if you're not going to be quick, you better be very strong and solid. Now watch Romanowski play this. As it starts in, reads the tight end going down, takes on that back with his inside shoulder and makes the tackle. And he gets up with that old fist. He knows he made that play. And you know, when you run right at him, he read that and saw that coming all the way. Henderson didn't do a great job of blocking.
2nd and 9. Levens goes in motion. And down goes Hasselbeck. Trevor Price Out of the Pro Bowl last year, held out, just reported to camp, but he's a player.
Yeah, he and Keith Traylor play that middle, and you're going to see him right here, and they get just a regular push. That's just a man-on-man push, and that's exactly, he just took Verba, and he just pushed him right back into Hasselbeck. That's kind of there. You know, we talked about Verba, and he made a good block on that open field, but that was terrible, where you let a defensive tackle take you and push you right into the quarterback. Ooh, you see that umpire?
Yes, I did.
You know, in our next game, Matt Millen's going to be the umpire. I wonder if Matt Millen saw that one.
Yeah, Matt's here. He's looking.
Yeah, I know. He's watching the umpire. Watch, here's the umpire here. He's the guy that lines up behind the defense, and it's a draw play. See a delay. Now, he has to get out of the way. He starts to get out of the way, and then Dorsey Levens runs right at him. Here's what the umpire sees. See that? I mean that's his game. I mean he got whipsawed. That was like years ago.
Ryan Longwell from 41 yards hits it down the middle. And Green Bay breaks on top 3-0. We're in the first quarter at Mile High.
Coors, an original Coors.
3-0 Green Bay. 8:56 left in the first. Pretty good looking drive by the Packers. 11 plays, 52 yards. 41-yard field goal by Ryan Longwell, who's about to kick off.
I was impressed by Matt Hasselbeck coming back after the sack. You know, that's a big thing. You get a sack, you take a sack, and then you can come back and get a first down. That one he threw to Antonio Freeman.
Delta O'Neal is back deep for Denver. Short kick. At the 11. Good coverage. Matt Snyder led the special teams.
You see Longwell on that kick? He slipped just as he kicked that ball.
Looked like a dead duck. Kick.
Slip equals a dead duck.
3-0. Packers. This is Longwell. Watch this.
Yeah, you know you're kicking in Mile High, and you know you're going to kick that ball out of the end zone, and then whap, this happens.
Can't kick without a foundation. This week on Fox Saturday Baseball, some of you will see Rafael Palmeiro and the Texas Rangers take on the Boston Red Sox, and Nomar Garcia Parra's quest to hit 400. While most of you will see National League power square off as the Braves battle the Giants. Coverage begins with This Week in Baseball, a half hour before game time. Check your local listings for the game in your area. Right now, the game in our area is the Broncos and the Packers. Doesn't seem like that long ago these two played in the Super Bowl, does it?
No, it was just, what, 3 years ago, right? And that was the Denver Broncos' first Super Bowl win was against the Green Bay Packers.
Greasy dumps it up the middle to McCaffrey. He's had a great training camp, and it's a foot race. McCaffrey fighting to stay on his feet. Tyrone Williams finally rolled under him.
That's the thing about Big Ed McCaffrey, and Brian Greasy was talking about McCaffrey. McCaffrey was talking about Greasy, how they really have chemistry now. They started out last year. They didn't have it. Here it's a slant. He waited. He had to let him get by the linebacker, Jude Waddy, and then he hits him. And watch McCaffrey. He can take off. He has a little speed here.
61 yards.
Watch him here. You see, he gets there. Now he has to find that opening, and he got that opening by just getting by number 54, Jude Waddy. Then when he did that, Brian Greasy saw that opening and hit him right in it.
Two tight ends. Greasy again is back to throw it. Dumps it to Davis. And Davis gets inside the 15.
I think that, you know, when we're talking to Brian Greasy, he says if he has a go-to guy now, it's Ed McCaffrey. He said he's worked the entire offseason with him. And he said now, Greasy was saying that last year he used to watch the receiver all the way. Now, this year, he watches the defense. And you can see what you do when you watch the defense. You know where your receiver's going to be, and you just throw in the hole of the defense.
That's Bernardo Harris coming off for Green Bay. That, the pass from Greasy to McCaffrey. He was watching McCaffrey. He may say he watched the defenders, but he watched McCaffrey then.
And he waited until he got by Jude Waddy, and then he hit him in that hole.
Davis. Terrell Davis down at about the 9.
You know, the best linebacker in the Green Bay Packers is Brian Williams.
Just went out.
And he had knee surgery, and then he had another knee surgery, and he may not play until the 5th or 6th game of the season. And then so the only real starter they had was Bernardo Harris, and he was just injured and just went off. So they're playing with Niall Diggs is playing that one side. Jude Waddy's playing the other side, and Diggs is a rookie.
Davis. Past the 5.
And that's what Davis wanted to do. You see, he said that last week, anytime he got hit, he just quit his feet. And he said that what he wants to do now, when he gets hit in this game, is just keep driving the feet, keep driving the legs. You know, don't stop at the first contact. And that's the thing. You see, he's a slasher. He makes guys miss. But you see, when he gets hit there, watch how he kept driving those legs.
Yep. Davis again. Stopped by Bonnie Holiday this time, about the 3, 2 maybe.
You know, the Broncos have a little different thing here. Gary Kubiak is calling all the plays. And last year, at the end of the season, he called them the last 4 games. But the big difference is he's up in the booth.
First time.
Yeah, this is the first time he's been in the booth, and they're kind of trying that out. Both Gary Kubiak calling the plays and being upstairs.
Davis is deep. Davis again. Might have gotten a yard. Maybe not.
This is where Terrell Davis, who, you know, when he's healthy, is the best running back in all of football. And this is where he really has always excelled in short yardage and goal line. And not only with his power, because he doesn't use a lot of power, but he knows how to cut back and to find holes and to find little gaps. That time he tried to cut back and there was nothing there.
He's got that feel that all the great ones had. 3rd and goal at the 1.
This would be a good area, a good time for a play pass where you fake to Terrell Davis.
That's what he did. Gracie throws in the end zone, and the pass is jumbled around and fumbled and finally dropped by Dwayne Carswell.
That's the thing. He was wide open, and it's a bootleg, and you see Greasy is going to fake to Terrell Davis, then he's going to bootleg out here to his right. He has his tight end coming across. He has 2 guys wide open. Oh, that's terrible.
Oh, yeah.
Carswell was in the back wide open, and he hit him right in the hands. There's nothing you can do or say about that one.
Jason Elam was ruined holding from 20 yards away. Close to automatic as it can be. 3-3 tie. This is one of the great places to do a game and also to go to the game. There isn't a bad seat in the house. Wonder if when they go to the new stadium, which is close by, the extra little things like the horse and
oh yeah, that's Thunder. I mean, Thunder's going to go with them, and
the girl too.
Yeah, and the girl too. And I mean, they just run the length of the field after a score. I remember Kansas City used to have one. It's called War Paint.
There's the new stadium.
Yep, right
They're
there.
trying to make it look as much like this one as they can.
And why build a new one?
Because it's new.
For the smell?
Mitchell is the return man. He gets out to about the 23. And the Packers take over on this very warm afternoon in Denver. It has been unseasonably hot in this area, and it still is. Sports Talk Radio coming up here on Fox. Premieres August the 28th. Pass complete. Antonio Freeman. They say he's really been working hard in training camp. Gotten himself in the best shape maybe ever. And he has really been looking good.
And I think that he wants to be one of those Jerry Rice type guys, you know, go-to guy that you move around. That, you know, he usually plays the flanker Z, but now they're going to put him at, you know, split end X. They're going to put him in a slot in the backfield, move him all around so that he will be the target on the majority of their passes. That time, he just got right down in the middle and sat down in the middle of his own.
One of those guys who knows how to get open. Hasselbeck to Levens. Levens down the sideline to the 30. Cut back at the 15. He didn't try to go out of bounds. Ray Crockett submerged.
I like that. That's a big play. One, being able to get outside, and then when you get up that sideline, don't run out of bounds. It seems like we see so many running backs get on the sideline, and the first guy that confronts them, they just go out of bounds. So watch, Crockett is going to come here, and he's just going to cut back inside. See Crockett right there, dive at him, and Dorsey Levens, instead of going out, cuts back in. And sometimes you're just going to pick up 3 or 4 more yards.
And he did.
Sometimes you're going to pick up touchdowns doing that.
First down, Green Bay at about the 13-yard line of Denver.
Well, I think Ray Crockett hurt himself on that play, Pat, because after he got up slowly and then kind of took himself out.
He had a bad hamstring, but thought it was well when we talked to him in practice the other day.
Yeah, he didn't play in the first preseason game. The guy that's replaced him now is Terrell Buckley. Terrell Buckley played with the Green Bay Packers. He's kind of be an up and down guy, and then he went for Miami, and he was an up and down guy there, and now he's here with the Denver Broncos. And like I say, if they have a weak area, to me it's their secondary, specifically their corners.
Got a chance to be up here.
Do you see that heat? What the heck? Is that wrong?
108 degrees.
No, are you kidding me? In Denver?
A mile high. Here's Hasselbeck. Pass is caught. By Antonio Freeman. Knocked out of bounds. Check that temperature again. That looks like 110 maybe.
Well, that's right down there on the field, and of course that's what the players are playing in. And Mike Sherman was talking last night, the new head coach of the Packers, and saying he was a little worried about that because they hadn't had any real hot weather up there in training camp, and so this is going to be one of the things that they're going to have to adjust to as the game goes on. And when you see the effects of it is in the 3rd and 4th quarters.
Amon, Green, and Henderson, the 2 running backs. Hasselbeck is going to walk it in.
Yeah, you look at Matt Hasselbeck and you think he's 6'4", that he wouldn't be a mobile guy, but he is very mobile. And if you look at all the plays that he's made so far, it's been the running type of play. You see, remember the one he threw to Antonio Freeman? Here he comes out on a bootleg. Now this is an option where he can either throw the ball, or if they back off in coverage, he can just run it in. He read the option perfectly and ran and didn't even get touched.
Longwell. Hasselbeck over. 2 out of 2. For Hasselbeck in that drive. The big run, of course, by Dorsey Levens. And Hasselbeck ran it in himself. Professional Major League Baseball game was at Ebbets Field in Brooklyn. Cincinnati at Brooklyn. Red Barber was the announcer.
That's going to be a fun thing to watch when you see it in black and white with only 2 cameras. And I hear Joe Buck in the first few innings is just going to be out in the stands doing it.
That's what Red Barber had to do.
That sounds like something that would be fun to do in football.
Yeah.
But, and then as the game goes on, then they're going to, do more things, and and show, not only how baseball has come, but how television has come.
A lot of that I lived.
Oh, well, I've been there.
Yeah.
Bernardo Harris said, you can see that he's back now. They said he just sprained his knee, and he's okay. That's something someone else always says about your injury.
Yeah, it's okay.
They put just in front of it.
High over McCaffrey from Greasy.
That's the thing that you don't want to do. When you see Ed McCaffrey knew it was coming too, because he had that high pass, and once you have to go up for a high pass, that you're being laid out. And you're being laid out for what? You're being laid out for some guy to hit you in the back.
Tyrone Williams, look at this.
Yeah, now this is how they call the play. Here's Gary Kubiak. He's up here calling the plays. Here's Mike Shanahan. He can listen and interrupt. And then we see the huddle over there and Brian Griese. So it goes from Kubiak down the sideline out to Griese. He calls it in the huddle.
Packer blitz coming. Davis read it well. Santana Dotson made the stop.
That must be Davis's, I would say, 6th carry.
Said he wanted to touch it about, what, 12?
Yeah, they're talking about 10 or 11 times. That was his 5th carry, or his 5th touch. They didn't talk about carries. They talked about touches, so that would include pass receptions. But you can see, you know, when you have that knee thing, you go through the rehab continues, but you have to get confidence back in your move.
Here's Griese out of the pocket. There's a flag on the play back at the line of scrimmage. Griese gets out of bounds in front of the Packer bench. But they'll bring this one back. That has to be holding.
Boy, did Terrell Davis make a nice block.
Didn't he,
you know, that's the thing. We always think about him running and catching. But if you're going to be a single back, you also have to block. He got John Theory coming in, and he took him down.
There is no foul on the play.
No foul. Jeff
The
Triplett.
initial ruling was a chop block because the reading of a pass, but since it turned into a run, no foul.
That was no chop block. I mean, that wasn't a chop block anyway. That was a block I was talking about.
Yeah.
That was
Davis
Terrell
block.
Davis.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was his block on the right side out there on John Theory. He knocked him head over heel. In fact, they're talking about chop block.
Davis. To about the 45. Picked up 4 perhaps. 10-3 Green Bay leading with a minute and a half left in the first quarter.
You know, one thing when you have the surgery that Terrell Davis had, if you can get through that first year back, which would be this year for him, he's not going to be the old Terrell Davis. But if he can get through this year and have a pretty good year, then next year he can get back all the way. But this year, the whole year will be a continual rehab point.
Building confidence year. Griese. Back in the pocket and sacked. Off the corner by David Bowen. Flag on the play.
And it's downfield. It's downfield in the area of either pushing off by the offensive guy or holding by the defense. Because that's one of the things. Brian Griese was back there, and he was waiting and waiting and waiting, holding the ball and looking.
55, defense, 5-yard penalty,
Bernardo Harris.
automatic first down.
Yeah, this is the area that, see, here's Bernardo Harris right here, number 55, and that's the area that Brian Griese was looking. You see what happens when you go out, and if the quarterback has to scramble, then you take your out and you turn it into an out and up. And then when Bernardo Harris felt that out and up go, he just grabbed him. But that's where Brian Griese was going to throw that ball.
Desmond Clark was the Bronco he pushed. First and 10. Automatic. Right at midfield. Davis remains the deep back. Griese to McCaffrey. Got 6.
See how Ed McCaffrey comes under control in there? Because you know that if you go too many steps farther than you went right there, you're going to have a collision with the safety. So you have to get inside this corner right here and then come under control right there before you get to number 42, Sharper, the safety. So there's a hole there between the corner and the safety, and you have to sit down right in that hole.
Remember the name Andre Reed?
Yeah.
So many years, so many great years with Buffalo. Now he's wearing number 15 and in the game for Denver.
You know, with this free agency, you see some weird sights. You know, and this is one of them, number 15, Andre Reed, Denver Broncos.
That's the end of the first quarter with the score of the Packers 10, the Broncos 3. This Fox NFL special from Denver will continue after these messages.
All-Pro to NFL analyst to referee. Matt Millen makes his officiating debut. The Bucs battle the Patriots in a Fox NFL preseason special.
The Broncos have the ball, 10-3 Green Bay leading, start of the second quarter. Pat Summerall with John Madden. McCaffrey back in the game in motion. Packer blitz coming. Griese rolls out, throws, and makes it complete to Rod Smith.
Talk about Hasselbeck moving. Brian Griese moved pretty well,
yes,
too.
He did.
What you have to be able to do, because everyone's blitzing now. If you're going to get those many blitzes, you have to be able to get away from them. In the first quarter, Green Bay rushing 89 to 28 of the Broncos. Broncos have more passing, 74 yards.
First and 10. Davis. Lean to about the 28. Tripped up by McKenzie.
The Broncos are going to have a great 1-2 punch at running back, because when you give them a heavy dose of Terrell Davis, who, as I said, I think when he's healthy, he's the best running back in all of football. And then when you take him out, you can bring in Alandis Gary.
Different kind of runner.
And he's a power runner. And he's something special, too. And Mike Shanahan was talking about it the other day. He said the thing is, he said, with Alandis Gary, we can give this guy right here all fresh carries.
Griese to Smith. Bronco first down at the 11.
Yeah, that was the bootleg. Rod Smith caught that, and the same thing happened to Mike McKenzie. Watch Mike McKenzie, the left corner. He's going to slip right here. You see, here comes Rod Smith. He's going to push, then he's going to turn to his right. You see McKenzie right here? A little push off there again, just like Freeman did.
Yep.
And then the slip McKenzie had.
Davis is deep. Surrounded by Packers.
This is the area
Kyle
that
Diggs led the Packers.
This is the area I think that Mike Sherman was talking about his defense, is that they were going to get a good test against the running game, and they wanted to be better down in this area. Last week, in their first preseason game against the Jets in this area a couple times just ran right through them, and they wanted to be able down here to be a little stouter and swarm and get a lot of guys to the ball, and they just did that in the last play.
Davis lost a yard. Griese wants a timeout. Brian heads over for the bench. Father, the legendary Bob Griese.
Watch Brian Griese here. He tries to start motion. You see his foot there? That is the start of motion. No one comes in motion. So he gives hand motion, and no one goes. So that's why he took the timeout.
Then the hand motion was timeout.
The only guy who could go in motion was the guy that was off. That was Rod Smith.
Pass caught by Rod Smith. And he passes the 5.
I'm impressed with Brian Griese.
Yeah.
You know, his quickness and the quickness of his reads, and how he gets back there, makes that read, and gets rid of the ball quickly. See, here's Rod Smith. He's the outside guy. He just runs on a slant there. Now, again, Griese's watching the defense, knowing where Rod Smith is going to come, and he just has to throw it right in that hole between the two defenders.
Alandis Gary is the back behind Griese in place of Davis. Griese retreats. Flag on the play. Griese out of the end zone. But a leap by Rod Smith brought it down.
And it's going to be a holding penalty against the Broncos anyway. I think it's a right tackle, Matt Lepsis. Because the referee called it. The referee is the guy behind the offense. The umpire is behind the defense. Usually calls holding. But if it's on the flanks, then the referee will call it.
Holding, 78, offense. Penalties decline, 4th down.
Correct. It was Lepsis.
Matt Lepsis, the right tackle. And what he did is you start, and your guy starts to scramble, and that puts the defensive guy in another position. And sometimes the only thing you can do is hold him.
Jason Elam in to kick. Ruin will hold from 22 yards out. Make it 23 and make it good. It's 10-6. The Packers over the Broncos. Twice they couldn't get in. 11:34 left in the first half. That looks so
Yeah, I think that's the water they stick in bottles that you pay $1.50 a bottle for. Who would have ever bought? I bought one yesterday. $1.50 for a bottle of water.
You got to have it, though. Amon Green and Mitchell. That's Mitchell with the return. And he again gets out just outside the 20.
You know, an interesting thing, we look up here, Pat, and there's 11:23, and there hasn't been a punt in this game yet. See, here's the problem. You know, after the Broncos score, big old Thunder runs down the field. Now, if you're nicknamed Thunder, when you run down the field, you have to take a divot out of there. The old Thunder takes a divot, and then the players got to go out and play in Thunder's divots.
McCaffrey's doing that thing with his neck.
Yeah, well, they've been working on him. Remember that slant that he caught, I said, between the corner and the safety?
Yeah.
Well, he did get hit by the safety, and he's been trying to shake that hit off.
Amon Green gets the carry. Packers are really very happy about this guy.
Yeah, we were talking to Ron Wolf, who, you know, made that trade with Seattle to get Amon Green, and he was darn near pumping his chest, Ron Wolf. I mean, he was pounding. He just pounded with one hand, but he was closely, no, right here, right?
I missed that.
He was ready to pound his hand with both chest. I mean, both hands. The other guy that he likes that he's pounding his chest about is that right tackle, Mark Tauscher. And I like him, too. I mean, this guy is a rookie 7th-round draft pick from Wisconsin.
Who wasn't supposed to be there, but Earl Dotson's out. Here's Amon Green. Outside the 30. A little bit shy of the first down, or maybe he got it. That's on the mark.
Remember when the Packers had Edgar Bennett?
Sure.
And then they would take Edgar Bennett out and they would put Dorsey Levens in, or they would put both Levens in and Bennett in at the same time. I thought that was when they were the best. And they could do the same thing with this guy Amon Green. You know, put him in there with Dorsey Levens, or, you know, along with him. And because you can take a shot like that, then you can do those kinds of things.
That's when Dorsey Levens was at his best.
That's what I thought. I mean, Dorsey Levens is not only a good runner, but he's a great pass receiver.
Need a foot. Green again.
Nate Wayne missed that tackle, and he's in there for John Mobley. You know, we talked about Brian Williams, the best linebacker of the Packers, being out. Well, John Mobley is the best linebacker of the Denver Broncos, and he's out, and he's had that same thing. Had the knee surgery from a year ago, then had another surgery to clean it out recently.
And in this defensive scheme, if that's what you call it, that's a very, very important position.
They call that the queen position.
Hasselbeck. Freeman still on his feet. Past midfield. First down. Billy Jenkins.
Yeah, great read there by Hasselbeck. Eric Brown is the safety, and he's going to come up on the line of scrimmage, and he comes on a blitz. Now, so Hasselbeck knows when you have the safety up there coming on the blitz, you got to get rid of the ball quickly. And the go-to guy, again, we said, is Antonio Freeman. He's going to be that guy. So watch, you see right here, here's the extra guy. So they have 8 men up, only 3 deep. So you have to get rid of the ball quickly. And when you have Antonio Freeman, that's the place to go to.
That was Jimmy Spencer who missed. First down, Packers. Hasselbeck, screen pass to Amon Green. It's set up pretty well.
He has speed.
Another Packer first down.
He didn't get to use it, though.
Al Wilson over to make the stop.
You remember Matt Hasselbeck's dad, Don Hasselbeck?
Sure,
Yeah,
sure.
I coached against him. He was a very good tight end for the New England Patriots. Big tall guy, yeah. In fact, he played a year for the Raiders, and he ended up with the Giants. I remember Bill Parcells needed a tight end, and he brought Hasselbeck back. Of course, he's the father, and then he has 2 brothers at Boston College. One who's a senior quarterback. Matt Hasselbeck went to Boston College. His brother is a senior quarterback this year. His other brother is the freshman receiver. Those Hasselbecks, they got some good football players in that deal.
And Dad could come back and play some more, too.
No, Dad couldn't come back and play.
No,
Dad's all through. All Dad does is walk around and watch the kids play and talk about how well they're doing.
You can be happy. But the Packer quarterback, assuming all the problems go away, will be this guy, Brett Favre. Brett's not quite in that picture yet. There he is.
He got something stuck in his ear there. He tried to play today. You know, when we talked to him last night, he said he was going to try, and came out dressed and warmed up. And then the last thing he said, you know, it would be stupid to do this, so I'm not going to.
So that underneath drop. Snyder.
That's the thing you always talk about. You better catch it. You're going to get it anyway. You know, Brett Favre, in addition to the elbow, has these things with his fingers. You look at right there, it starts off as a blister and then becomes a callus. And he has one there, and he has one right there. And they bother him at first, and he thinks that maybe because of the blisters in the fingers, that went to the elbow. And so
changed his throwing motion.
What he's trying to do is just kind of get everything rested and back healthy, and then start going full go again.
He said when he threw in practice in training camp when they first got back, that middle finger was bleeding. Timeout, Packers. Hasselbeck is over to the sideline. His team leads 10-6.
You know, everything that Brett Favre does is full speed, full strength, full everything. And there's so much trauma on that arm. And remember the thumb from last year? Just watch the bicep and the trauma that goes up with a snap. Watch this. You see that thing shake as that ball hits it? So that not only goes to the thumb, but it goes up the wrist, up the elbow, and all the way up the forearm to the shoulder. Just taking the snap.
3rd and 8. Green cuts upfield, just shy of the 30 and shy of a first down. And Ahman Green slow getting to his feet and limping.
Yeah, that was Al Wilson, the middle linebacker of the Denver Broncos, had a pretty good shot at him, and Ahman had to put on that extra burst of speed to get away from Wilson.
Remember when he was at Nebraska, he was just unstoppable and uncatchable. Every touch.
You know, and he's been doing so well, and I think that, you know, of all the guys in the Packer camp, the players that the coaches have really been impressed with, I would say Ahman Green kind of has to be the top of that list.
Here's Ryan Longwell from 48 yards out. No slip, but no good. And the Broncos take over, trailing 10-6. Ahman Green, it looks like, problem with his right ankle. The right knee of Ahman Green.
And we're going to see what's right here. You see as he starts to break right there. Now watch, the defender comes in and just goes right across that right knee. And you see the knee buckle and the foot go out. Watch it here as the contact comes. See the knee come in and the right foot goes out. Something has to give in there, but I'll tell you, it's a lot better playing on grass than it is artificial turf. Look out.
Burt would have been planted. This is Alandis Gary.
Darren Sharper really has to be upset with that. He has a beat on that. He's coming on a blitz. He times it perfectly. Now watch him here. He's going to go up here, time this thing perfectly. Then he's going to hit the thing and run right by. Now when you make a play like that and a call like that, you have to finish the deal off.
Gary, very a strong runner. About 220. Mike Davis from Georgia. And Howard Griffith made the reception from Greasy.
Yeah, that's the first thing they do today is get ice and pressure. You see, they used to put elastic ace bandages, and now they got that stuff that looks like cellophane that they put over the ice.
One of the great inventions in history, I guess, saran wrap.
Yeah, well, you can tell when they start cutting the pant that it's a little more serious than just a little twist.
That's Gary again, enough for a first down.
I like Olandis Gary. Remember him last year? He comes in and he's the rookie from Georgia, and everyone is so upset, rightly so, when Terrell Davis gets hurt. And this guy comes in and he was a real stalwart. I mean, he comes, and you talk about a guy who runs downhill. Olandis Gary is the definition of running downhill. You talk about a guy who brings a load. He's the definition of bringing a load.
In the regular season against the Packers, he carried the ball 37 times in that game. The durability is not a problem. Greasy. DeRod Smith, flag on the play.
Look at Mike McKenzie. He said he didn't do it. He didn't do it, which usually means he didn't do it.
Of course it does.
You know, Brian Greasy looks so much more comfortable in the pocket and with this offense than he did a year ago.
Well, he
There's
said
no
he did.
foul for a face mask. The tackle was made at the shoulder. Result of the play, first down.
Yeah, Mike McKenzie was right.
Talked him out of it.
Yeah, he said that he didn't do it. You see him come in here, and he said that he grabbed the shoulder. He didn't grab the face mask. Looked like he tried. He was getting close to grabbing the face mask, and Rod Smith just moved his head.
Now, how many players you think are going to admit that they did it?
No, none. But I mean, he was right on that, and you have to stand up for your rights. But how many times do you think an official is going to change a call when he thought he saw something, and you tell him that you didn't do that?
You were talking earlier about it had been cool back at Green Bay for training camp. Well, we spoke earlier. Let's get to this first. We spoke to Terrell Davis about the difference in Brian Greasy from last season. We were just talking about that.
This year, Brian, he's come back as a smarter quarterback. He understands the offense a little better, and he's not trying to force plays. He knows what his progressions are, and he goes through the progressions, and then there's nothing there. He's going to either run the ball or dump it down to the backs. And, you know, that's probably the biggest difference that I'm knowing this year. And then plus, from my rookie year to my second year, the experience was it played a major part in me coming back that second year and being a much better runner. And I think the same thing holds true with Brian.
I think the other big thing, Pat, is last year, remember, Bubby Brister at this time was the starting quarterback. The team kind of bonded with him. And then Brian Greasy was thrown in, and there was no chemistry whatsoever. So for the no chemistry, they started to look who to blame, and they didn't want to blame Mike Shanahan too much. And I think a lot of the blame fell on Brian Greasy. You know, the guys didn't like him and all this stuff. The guys just didn't know him because they'd been working, and they believed that the quarterback was going to be Bubby Brister. And boom, you know, lo and behold, there's a big switch, and now Greasy's in there, and the rest of the team wasn't ready for it.
The word on Ahman Green is that he will not be back. Sprained knee. Gary. Pass complete to Smith. Flag on the play. Brian Greasy. Over and above all the things you were talking about, which are so true, you still had this, not stigma certainly, but the specter of replacing John Elway.
Oh, that's not. As Brian Greasy says, I've been in the shadow all my life. As a kid, I was in the shadow of my dad, Bob Greasy, Hall of Famer, Miami Dolphins, Super Bowl. And, you know, I had to live up to that, and then I come in here, and so, as he says, he has a lot of experience living in the shadow. There was a great one, John Elway, and I think part of the thing last year with Bubby Brister and that whole thing, I think the Broncos were kind of shocked by how much they missed John Elway.
Well, he was a guy who could take over a game, who could win a game by himself.
Remember the first Super Bowl that we saw him in? We did the game against the Giants down there in Pasadena. I remember watching the tapes, and they didn't have a lot of good players. I remember from Terrell Davis, and you look, and I said, this is a one-man game.
Number 96, defense. The penalty is declined. The result of the play is a first down.
First down, Denver.
That year, he was as close to a one-man gang as I've ever seen. I mean, Dan Marino was the same type of thing. There was a lot of times where Dan Marino didn't have a lot of good players around him, but he was still outstanding. And John Elway was that way for a lot of years here.
Andre Reed was the man in motion. Greasy looking in that direction, and now he's going to take off with it himself and slide across the 15 to about the 13. He's a bigger guy than his dad was. Brian is bigger than Bob.
Yeah, but he has the same look in the eyes
Yes,
and the same voice. There for a while when we were talking to him the other day that I thought I was talking to his dad.
Sounded just like it.
Yeah, Bob, you know, for years we played against him when I was coaching at Oakland, and he was playing for Miami, and that was a great series. I mean, we would always beat them out in Oakland, and they would beat us in Miami.
Gary inside the 10, about the 7. First down, Denver.
You see how Gary finishes off runs? That's a big thing about it. I mean, for a lot of running backs, that hole wouldn't have been a first down. For Olandis Gary, that hole, that seam, that crack there was enough for him to get a first down.
You can tell he's not one who feels his way.
No, you know, now Terrell Davis will feel his way more. He's more of a slasher, a reader, a cutter. Olandis Gary is going to run over anything in front of him.
Gary again. A couple.
Yeah, this is where the Green Bay defense, you know, they have some holes in that thing. I mean, they don't have linebackers. That's going to be a problem. Maybe they need another defensive lineman or so. But they're playing this defense better than they did a week ago.
Basically, it's the Denver defense that they're playing. So the Broncos have had a good look at it, working against their own defense. Mile High Stadium in Denver. Green Bay 10, the Broncos 6. 2 minutes left in the first half. Second and goal from the 5.
Not a lot of offense in this first half.
No punts.
No, the Packers have 177 yards. The Broncos have 198 yards. And as you said, no punts. So that's either pretty good offense or not very good defense, or a combo of the two.
Gary behind Griffith. And Griffith now moves to his left. Roll out right by Greasy. He's going to take it in himself. Looked like the run that Hasselbeck made. Brian Greasy puts the Broncos ahead.
It was that same thing. It was that bootleg. Andre Cooper was number 81. He was the receiver. So he's going to come out here in a bootleg. He's going to fake the run to the left, then he's going to bootleg out to his right. So he faked the run. Now he's going to come out. Now here's Andre Cooper here. Now he can either throw to him, or if they drop off to cover Cooper, he can just walk into the end zone.
That's what he did.
That is a great play when you get inside the 5-yard line.
Jason Elam. You see where Andre Cooper came from?
Yeah.
He's lined up as a tight end on the left.
Yeah, all the way across.
Yeah. Next week we're going to be, John and I have been together 20 years. Next week we're going to go to Foxborough for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the New England Patriots. We have never done a game in Foxborough.
That's something, and that's just the luck of the draw. And you think of all the places we haven't been. That's one place, and we get to be there next year and see the Patriots, and then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who many people think could be the Super Bowl team this year.
There's our man Matt Millen, who will be with us next week in a different role.
Yeah, he's going to be here as the umpire, and if he was going to do that, they made him work on it. And so he went to meetings, and you know, he went to practices, and he got a Fox shirt here, but next week he'll have a shirt that, just stand still a minute, Matt.
Wow, now
get these stripes. See, that's how you'll look down.
That Fox shirt's not the one he had on this morning.
No, I know. Well, you know, one thing about Matt, I'm going to say this quietly, so don't hear this. He steals clothes from you if you leave them out.
He travels lightly.
I know, he travels light, and then if you leave something laying around, he picks it up, puts it on, and then it becomes his. I was saying how they made Matt Millen practice, and here he is practicing.
Well, he was better than that when he played. I mean, his steps were better than that.
I was at this practice. This is the 49ers. Watch him here. Terrell Owens comes over there and knocks him right over. Watch Steve Mariucci here. He's worried about Terrell Owens. He's not worried about Matt.
But Matt thought he was worried about him.
But that was Matt's first try, and I was there. I went with Matt to the 49er training camp and the Oakland Raider training camp, and I tell you, this is not a joke. Matt Millen is taking this very serious.
Oh, yeah, he says he really enjoyed it.
I think it's good for him, and it's good for us. And I've always said that if you would take an NFL player and you would let him be the umpire, because the umpire is the guy who stands behind the defense. Take a linebacker that, let him learn how to officiate for 1 year, and in 1 year, he would be a better umpire than 90% of the umpires in football, because he starts off and he's not afraid. He's not afraid to stand in here. He's right there. He's not afraid to stand in there, and he knows how to read things.
He knows when to back up and when to go forward. From Hasselbeck to Bobby Brown.
It's like they could throw that all day.
Yep.
Both of these teams are having problems at their corners, where their corners, I think, are given too big a cushion, and then they're slipping and falling down.
Problems with footing.
But if you stay that far off and you play like that, you can hit those outs for first downs all day. And both teams have it. They said,
Yeah.
we're going to go through this first half with that first down there, and we're not going to have a punt.
Mitchell is the deep back. Hasselbeck drops in a hurry and throws outside to Bobby Brown again.
And again, if they keep staying off like that, Hasselbeck is going to keep throwing like
Why
that.
not?
See, this is what it looks like here. You know, you wonder what happens between plays. Here's the defensive huddle right here. Now, see, they don't really get in a circle. Here's the offensive huddle. They get in a nice circle. Bill Romanowski, 53, gets the defensive signal, and he tells all the guys. Then, of course, the quarterback, Matt Hasselbeck, gets the offensive play and calls the play.
2nd down and 5. Hasselbeck back to throw it. Has time up the middle. Bubba Franks with those good hands. Everybody we talked to about their #1 draft choice, Bubba Franks. The first thing they said, or they ultimately said, he's got the best hands I've ever seen.
And he has to learn to play faster. They're going no huddle here. This is good experience for a young team and a young quarterback.
Hasselbeck back. Charles Lee this time.
There's another guy they like, is Charles Lee, and this Hasselbeck has really been impressive. And when you can do these kinds of things, are even more impressive. I mean, to come to scramble like that, to see that guy in that hole, to hit him in that hole,
anticipate his move like he did.
Yeah, he is really impressive. And now you get to the thing. I mean, Brett Favre's the quarterback of this team, and there's not going to be any quarterback controversy. But at what point does Matt Hasselbeck say that, geez, I can start on a lot of teams in this league? And just watching him, and this isn't the first time we've seen him, but just watching him, I believe that he is ready to be a starter in this league.
Coming up on the Visa halftime report, JB, Terry, Howie, and Chris will have first half analysis. They'll preview the upcoming season in the AFC. That's all coming up on the Visa halftime report. Not a lot to analyze about this first half. It's been all offense. Throw it and complete it.
Oh, now that was a bad throw there.
Yep, that's the first one.
And he knows it too, because he had Bubba Franks there, and Franks had a step, and he threw it behind him. And you can have big hands and the best hands of the team, but you still have to get that ball out in front. Watch Hasselbeck here. You see, he makes him come back and reach back. And then he kind of got lost in space there and got a little off his axis, and he couldn't get back on his axis.
He's 6'6" and 260. 2nd and goal. Packers trying to take the lead. Denver leads by 3.
A lot of noise for preseason.
The fade pattern. Incomplete. Tyrone Davis, the intended receiver. Remember a couple of years ago, he was just devastating.
He was great at that, and then they've done it so much that the other teams know it. But it was interesting who they had out on him. The strong side linebacker, Bill Romanowski, had to go out there. So Romanowski had to go out there and play like a corner. Here's Tyrone Davis. Here's Romanowski out there, a linebacker having to play like a corner, and he does a pretty good job.
Yes, he does. Good position, everything.
I'll tell you, he had to be, you know, his knees had to be just moving a little when you get out there. And, you know, I mean, even corners say they're out there on an island. Davis had Romanowski on an island.
Hasselbeck to throw it. His hand was hit, his arm was hit.
His head was hit.
His helmet came on, yeah.
Yeah, Yeah, he got some of his hair knocked off.
Looks like his father. As well he should.
He's shorter than his dad. But I'll tell you, he had a bad throw down there, and that caused this. Woo! Boy, he's lucky that that was just his helmet. I mean, that's going for the head. That was an illegal shot.
Longwell to tie it. And does. From 24 yards out, Ryan Longwell hits again. 13-13 tie. Go back again.
This is the thing. I think that what you can do there is okay. Now, Kavika Pittman comes in there, and that's illegal. I mean, there's no way that you could go to the head. And I'm surprised that because the referee has one job, and his job is to protect the quarterback. And when he goes like this, and you just see him. Now, the first hit here is okay. You can't do that. But that you cannot do. I mean, you cannot have that second hit. I mean, he does two things here. One, he leads with his helmet, which is illegal. And two, he goes to the head, which is illegal. Ooh. There's no way. And then to not call something on that. I mean, even if it is preseason, you just can't let guys do that. That's what that guy's a little smile because he's lucky he has all his parts. I think, look, he's checking his teeth.
Teeth and head and
nose. You got your nose. You still got two eyes.
Still can hear.
Teeth.
Teeth.
No, that's, you know, a lot of those times, you know, you do get hit, and you get up, and the first thing you do is check your parts. Make sure that you have them all.
Longwell's kickoff is high. It hangs down to one of the up end. He breaks out of the pack and gets out to about the 35. That was Billy Miller, who's trying to become one of the 4 tight ends that perhaps the Broncos will keep.
I bet this is offside on the kickoff team. Yeah,
it is.
This is one of the things that they thought that players were getting away with last year, that the kickoff team, the guys were leaving before the ball was kicked.
Offside, 24, kicking team. Penalty is declined. First down.
This is the thing is here's the ball and the line, and no one can cross that line until the ball is kicked.
Except the kicker, the lead leg.
Yeah, the kicker can't be offside. But they started taking advantage of that last year. So they said that what they were going to do this year is they were going to be real tough on that in preseason. Now that looks like they were real
pretty
tough
good
because that was very, very close.
Here's Reese. The middle to Rod Smith. Hustle it up.
This is
half a minute to go.
You like to have these situations in preseason.
Reese spikes it and stops the clock.
You know, that's the old thing that you hate to see as a coach. You go into a prevent defense or a form of prevent defense, and I swear everyone on defense thinks it's recess, and they take off, and they all go back and they leave big holes. I mean, that completion was way too easy.
What does it prevent?
They still have first down. That should be second down. They didn't count that spike on the down marker.
They have it on the other side, not on this side. Here's Reese again. Chase threw it to Gary, incomplete.
You know, Ed McCaffrey, remember we saw him, he was trying to shake off that hit. They say that it wasn't because of the hit to the head. It was a heel irritation that he had.
We were looking at his shoes before the start of the game. Look at this apparatus he wears.
He cuts out the back. You know, he wears shoes a size too small. So on one shoe, he cuts the toe out so his big toe can stick out. And on the other shoe, he cuts the heel out so he can wear a size smaller.
And people say kickers are all weird.
Well, he wants to be faster. I mean, that's one of the things that the old thing is, the lighter that you can be, the faster that you can be.
Yeah. Don't forget again, coming up on the Visa halftime report, JB, Terry, Howie, and Chris, first half analysis, and a review of the AFC, which should be very interesting to hear those comments about the AFC. There are not a lot of great quarterbacks other than Peyton Manning. Maybe great is too strong for him so soon.
Well, and especially in this AFC
Yeah,
West.
yeah,
I mean, this AFC West is not a real strong division and not a real strong quarterback division. Then, as you say, who's the best team in the AFC? Jacksonville looks like they're having a heck of a lot of injuries.
Yeah.
But I liked, and the team that we liked last year, I still think is the best, and that's the Indianapolis Colts.
And, of course, you can't forget Tennessee.
Yeah, it was interesting what Terry Bradshaw said in the pregame, and I think there's something to that. But I mean, I'm going to hate to blame the arm injury on that, but
Their third and final charge timeout.
Brett Favre didn't work out as hard in this past offseason. He came in a little heavier, and he said he didn't pick up a ball. Yeah. And then he gets hurt. So if you work out real hard, you get too thin, then you get hurt. Then it's because you were too thin. And if you don't work out and you get hurt, it's because you didn't work out. But the one thing Terry said that I've always agreed with: the older you get in this league, the harder you have to work. And a lot of times, people think it's easy. When you're young, you work hard. It's when you're old, you have to work hard. And this guy right here, Ed McCaffrey, he's one of the hardest workers in football.
And the older you get, the harder it is to make yourself do that.
And the older you get, the harder it is to have all your parts work so that you can work that long.
Fit correctly.
We talk about parts, and Mark Schlereth, who is the starting left guard for the Denver Broncos, not playing today, but he's had 27 surgeries. Now, that is amazing. That is amazing. And they say that he's going to play next week.
Just coming off one.
Yeah, we saw him at camp. He was on crutches.
Greasy. Josh Smith, that's the Bears play. That gang screen, but there is a flag on the play.
I think that all teams are going to do that more this year, these screen passes. And as you said, the Chicago Bears started that last year, and they were very, very effective with it. Throwing screen passes not only to backs, but to tight ends, wide receivers, movement, that whole type of thing.
Illegally downfield. 66, offense. 5-yard penalty, remains fourth down.
And when you get the center illegally downfield.
Yeah, well, that's the thing on a screen. I used to have Dave Dalby used to do that all the time. Watch the center here. You see, on a screen pass, he can't go downfield. See, he started right out there down. I mean, that was terrible on Neyland's part. Sometimes they just go up a yard or two and come down the line of scrimmage. Yep. But he just went right out then, and that made it illegal.
Take a look at this, the first punt of the first half.
I said we weren't going to have a punt this first half.
You did say that.
There's only 10 seconds left.
Bruin back to punt it. Short snap, he picks it up. It's a fine kick over the head of the Green Bay safety man, Strader. That ought to bring it just about to a close. And it does. The first half ends in a tie. 13 apiece.
Well, I think if you wanted to see how Terrell Davis was going to do, I think he looked very good. I think you want to see how Brian Greasy and Matt Hasselbeck, I think they did very well.
Right now, let's go down to DJ